What is going on, everybody? It's Kitten of Doom, and it has been a while since I've uploaded a YouTube video. I've been slacking, so in 2019 it's definitely going to be a goal of mine to upload more content for you guys, more god guides, tutorials, gameplay, bunch of fun stuff like that. So wanted to start off with a Hera guide, since she is the newest mage that Hera has released. And this is her, and she is Queen of the Gods, and she is an amazingly fun god to play. So let's tell you a little bit more about her. I will be reading out her abilities to you guys, and then we'll go into jungle practice to give you more of a general idea of what the abilities look like and what they do, if you don't know what they do already. First ability is called Royal Assault. Hera damages enemies in a cone in front of her before opening a portal for Argus to attack through. Enemy minions hit by this cone are knocked into Argus's path. Argus then slams his fist at the target location, dealing heavy damage. If both of the fists connect with an enemy, it deals 15% extra damage. And this is an AoE, and once we show you in jungle practice, we'll be going over like the cone and what it does with minions and all of that fun stuff. Second ability is called Polymorph. Pretty self-explanatory. Hera weaves magic in front of her before sending it out. Enemies hit by this ability take damage. If this ability hits a god, it causes their form to shift into a monster. And they always shift into jungle monsters on the specific map. So if it's on the Conquest map, they could be transformed into like the red buff, purple buff, or the blue buff. And if you're on like Joust, it'll transform them into those type of camp monsters in the blue and red buff there. So it's a pretty cool idea just to, you know, see different kinds of monsters and stuff like that. But it is a line ability, pretty straightforward. She just winds up a little bit before she ends up sending it out. Third ability is called Divine Shroud. Hera shrouds herself in her divine power, granting her a shield from damage and temporary movement speed that lasts as long as the shield remains. If Argus is active, Argus shines with the same divine power as Hera, causing him to deal radiant damage and move at an increased rate. She is a more vulnerable mage since she doesn't have an escape, but this ability does keep her out of hairy situations, and we'll go more into that. And her ultimate is called Argus the Defender. Hera brings Argus crashing down at a location, damaging and knocking up enemies. On landing, Argus will attack the nearest target. Hera can control where Argus moves through refiring this ability onto an enemy, or if he's already on a target, to recall him. While recalled, Argus will defend Hera and attack anyone who gets close. Argus has a hit chain that starts with a normal basic attack into a ground circle AoE, slowing enemies for 20% for 1 second, into a line attack. And these are the stats of Argus. This is a incredible ultimate ability. Basically, it makes a whole fight a 6v5, since Argus has a ton of health and a bunch of damage. Hera's passive is called Commanding Presence. Each time Hera deals damage to gods with her abilities or basic attacks, Argus the Defender's cooldown is reduced by 1 second, and Divine Shroud's cooldown is reduced by 0.33 seconds. If Argus is active, he is instead healed. So definitely what you want to do with Hera is hit a lot of gods with your basic attacks and abilities to reduce Argus's cooldown. And as for leveling her abilities, you always want to get her 1 first. It is her main clearing tool. After that, it can be a little bit situational, definitely in Conquest. If you are scared about getting ganked early at level 2 by their enemy jungler, you can pick up this shield and speed buff, but I always go with Polymorph's second ability just because I could just hit the enemy jungler and have them, you know, polymorphed for those couple seconds, and then I can just retreat until my jungler arrives. So I always like to level this second. Level 3, I get the shield. 4, we're going back into her 1, and we are wanting to max out her 1 first. Obviously level 5, get her ultimate. Maxing out that. The second ability I max out is her polymorph. It does an extreme ton of damage, so always want to be making sure you prioritize that. Leveling the ultimate as much as you can, just so that his Argus's damage and health and protections and movement speed and basically everything, you know, just levels up when you level her ultimate. So you always want to prioritize leveling that whenever you can. Finishing out the first ability and then trying to finish out the polymorph. Going to Argus. And finishing out her shield and movement speed buff last. And that is how I like to level Hera. Now let's go ahead over to jungle practice so we can show you what these abilities look like. Okay, here we are in jungle practice, and I think this is the first video that I've made since they updated the jungle practice. Now we have all this fun stuff to play with. I'm so glad that they changed that too, because it was definitely needed. Okay, so first, let's see if we can get to some lane minions to show her one. So this is her first ability. And normally what you want to do, since it has this double targeter, you want to hit the melees like this, and then they fly up and then go on to that second targeter. And that way she has some pretty good wave clear. The only problem with that is that it does kind of make her have to go close to the wave, and it could put her, you know, in kind of some bad situations. So as long as you're pretty mindful of your positioning and everything, you should be pretty fine. And normally at level 1, you know, you can get away with going up here pretty close. And then, you know, level 2, then she can just polymorph the wave like that, and she has some pretty good clear. Okay. And then, this is her second ability. Oh, and her first ability, it doesn't, like, knock up gods. Like, you won't knock up this Odin bot. But, you know, it's still pretty good damage when you do hit a god with that other end. Second ability is the polymorph, so the line ability where she turns other gods into monsters for 2 seconds. So 2 seconds is pretty long when you're in an intense team fight, so this is a really good ability. But she does have to wind up in order to cast this, so you see she has to like do that little wind up. And you'll get used to this. I know when I first started I could like not hit this, but you know, just have to wind it up like that, and then it turns them into a little monster. So it's pretty OP. And her third ability is just this shield that she grants herself, and then she also gets extra movement speed with this. In addition, with this shield, you always want to have this active when you pop Argus onto somebody, because then it gives him an AoE tick damage like this around him, and it does a ton of damage. So let's just see this again, what it looks like on that, and he has a bunch of those ticks. Okay, as for combos, this is like her main combo that you can get so much damage off and tons of freaking kills with. So what I like to do is drop Argus, get my 2 ready, polymorph them, and then combo that into with the 1. So it goes pretty fast, but you know, you pretty much drop Argus on them, it knocks them up. While they're knocked up, I like to polymorph them so they can't get away, and then finish it off with her 1. And of course, like, you know, there's other combos where you can polymorph them and throw the 2 and 2 and then 1. So it's kind of just up to you, but I think that combo I showed before with dropping Argus, polymorphing, and then her 2 is the best combo that you can do, just because it makes sure that they don't run away or use their dash or leap or, you know, anything. But Argus is pretty quick, so he can catch up to him. And then always in this combo, make sure you pop your 3. So this, and I like to pop. You can pop that during any time, but I think that it just ruins like the speed of the combo. But definitely when Argus is out, always make sure that the shield is out, and also be aware of your positioning, because you could end up just using your shield when you need it to survive and get away from somebody. Also forgot to mention, well, I think I did before, but if you hit both of the fists, if they both connect, it does like 15% more damage. So it's a pretty cool ability, and you'll get used to hitting it. Definitely a different kind of targeter as well. Alright, and as for builds, this will mainly be for Conquest, but this can literally go in any kind of other game mode, just depends. So always starting off with your Mage's Blessing, since you are going to be in the mid lane. There have been Heras that are solo laners as well. So you could pick up like Warriors is kind of bad right now, but you could do that, or maybe get like a Guardian's Blessing to be more tanky, or you could even stay with Mage's Blessing in the solo lane as well. So picking that up, and usually you'll have enough gold to get like a tier 1 Book of Thoth as a start that I like to do. Another popular start that's going on right now is getting tier 1 of a pen item. You will kind of do a ton of damage because you'll have 25 extra magical power, so that is an option. Or you could even do something like a tiny trinket, since Soul Gem is really good on her. You could do that. But I would say my favorite build, starting build right now, is the T1 Book of Thoth. As for boots, you can either go Shoes of Focus or Shoes of the Magi. I like going Shoes of Focus just because it gives her an extra 10% of cooldown, and you'll have Argus up and your abilities up so much more often. So that way I like doing that. If you plan on going like Chronos Pendant and some other cooldown items, I would go Shoes of Magi just so you don't overcap. So we got that, and finish up Book of Thoth and get stacks on that. And the third slot is typically where you want to go with your pen item. And this really just depends on your matchup in your game. Obviously you want to Divine Ruin if there are other healers on the other team, or even self-healing gods. Spear of Magus definitely is good on her just because of Argus's tick damage from her shield. So if you do get Spear of Magus, you would want like a different pen item as well, so like an Op Shard. Spear of Desolation you could pick up if you want that extra cooldown, but since we have cooldown boots and I want Soul Gem, I typically don't get this on her, but you can if you're going that tier 1 start, the tier 1 pen start. You could pick up just Magus here or Spear of Deso. Usually I like to opt for Obsidian Shard because it's really powerful right now. And next I like to go Soul Gem. This is insanely good on her. Gives her some health, cooldown, and some magical lifesteal, plus the addition of the passive where it procs off of the 4th ability once you get 4 stacks, and it also heals some of your teammates.
Emanating from this artifact.
Next, Soul Reaver. Pretty staple build in a mage build, if I do say so. Right now, it's really good. Your abilities deal 2% of their max health, so you're gonna be shredding tanks with this. Last item, really situational. If you're having issues with a lot of crowd control, CC, or assassins, you know, trying to come up from the backline and just kill you, and you're not getting a lot of help from your teammates, I would recommend like Magi's if you're having some crowd control issues, or if you have some assassins that just won't get up out of your grill, then I would say Mantle of Discord, just because it gives you that nice stun if you're below 30% health. So you could definitely do some of those options. I have seen people pick up Gem Viso on her. I would recommend this if you need some extra health and crowd control reduction. Definitely a good item that you could pick up. If you're just fragging and killing everybody, totally would recommend Ratatouille, since your basic attacks and abilities gain an extra 25% additional power against people lower than 50%. A lot of the times, once you do your whole combo with Argus and everything, they're gonna be below 50%. So once you get some more on them with that passive or Ratatouille, you're gonna be hitting like a truck. I mean, even just that combo just kills me automatically. So, or you know, in a team fight skirmish, if people are just 50%, you'll be doing tons and tons of damage. If you're not a big fan of Tahuti, never hurts to get, you know, some more, like a double pen. If you wanted some additional cooldown, you could go Spiridesso. That would put you at 30 and doesn't cap you out. And if you wanted max cooldown, you could get Chronos Pendant to cap out at that. Typically, I've been not liking to do this very much just because of her passive, and her like auto and basics reduce the cooldown of Argus anyway. So I haven't been liking doing that. Another really powerful item right now is Celestial Legion Helm, and they changed this. So it's basically every 2 seconds you receive a stack of some physical protections to a max of 5 stacks. So when you receive damage, your stacks are removed. So this item's really good against ganking if you're in the mid lane. So if you need some extra physical protection, feel free to build this. Another option for your last item is Shaman's Ring. So once you get this stack, basically if you hit an enemy and they have this debuff on them, you're going to be dealing 10% more damage from all your other abilities. I know some people kind of don't like this, but I will stack this and show what it looks like. Okay, so we got book stack and our shaman stacked. So if I damage Neith, she has that little avatar of Hera over her. So when she has that over, you'll be doing 10% more damage to her with your other abilities. So putting this into a full combo of when they have that debuff on you, you could do, you know, something like this, and they're, yeah, just toast. So that's an option you could do if you don't want to go to Hootie. But other than that, I think those are kind of the best last item slots. You know, you could do Tahuti, Shamans, Gem of Iso, Chronos Pendant if you want the extra cooldown, or even just defense if you're having trouble surviving. But other than that, guys, that wraps up my guide for Hera. She's insanely overpowered, I think. Just Argus brings so much to a team fight, and it's, you know, really hard to kill him because he has like 3,500 health. So a lot of your teammates are gonna, or a lot of the enemy team is gonna have to be focusing down Argus, you know, while the rest of your team is hammering down on them. So just showing again how much damage she can really do in the combo. But I think that is going to wrap it up. And I appreciate you guys for staying subbed, even though I haven't been uploading as much, but it's definitely a goal of mine to be kind of a lot more active on YouTube to, you know, put out guides and all this fun stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you like building on Hera, if you like her or not, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!